What's going on, guys? As you can probably tell by this beginning screen, I don't normally do these types of videos. I don't necessarily even like mentioning other YouTubers on my videos, but I had to respond to this one. It's Jason Blaha's video today. It says high grain consumption linked to lower rates of cancer, diabetes, and cardiovascular disease. Now, let me start by saying this. I don't have a problem with Jason. I don't even have a problem with linking high grain consumption with lower rates of cancer, diabetes, and cardiovascular disease. This isn't going to be an argument against gluten. It's not going to be an argument, trying to say that grains are bad for you. I don't think that grains are bad for you. But Jason, in this video, went on to lambaste and criticize the ketogenic diet and started saying how this is evidence that the ketogenic diet is horrible for you and that you shouldn't try it and you shouldn't do it whatsoever. Now, a lot of times when people make this argument for whole grains and, cereals and things like this, they neglect the fact that the ketogenic diet is actually a very high vegetable diet. If you're going to be doing the ketogenic diet the proper way, you need to be consuming lots and lots of vegetables. And luckily, there's a lot of very friendly keto vegetables. But I want to mention, first off, the two studies that he brings up here. And we're going to go into some of the data here. Sorry if I venture out into the weeds, but when you're doing a response video like this, which is not attacking the person, like I said, I don't have a problem with Jason. I just have a problem with his interpretation of these studies and his interpretation of the data. Not that I'm saying that grain consumption is bad. I'm saying that this is not a criticism of ketogenic diets. So let's start with the first study I think he links here, and this is whole grain consumption and risk of cardiovascular disease. This is a meta-analysis, and yes, this is a great meta-analysis. It takes a bunch of studies together and then creates more statistical significance because you get a larger N. Right? One thing I want to point out, though, with this study is it does use a 95% confidence interval, which is still standard for scientific studies of this nature, epidemiological studies when we're looking at statistical analysis. But it is not as stringent as the second study. The second study he put up, which I think is this one here, Food Groups and Risk of All-Cause Mortality, a Systematic Review and Meta-Analysis of Prospective Studies. This one's a little bit more stringent. This one uses a 99% confidence interval, which is fantastic. That's the creme de la creme when you're looking at statistical studies, right? Sorry, I get a little bit choked up over here. So let's go into these data over here. And this is from that second study he posted up, right? So up here, we have the food groups, which are, they have an inverse association with all-cause mortality, right? So we're talking about cancer, diabetes, all these different things, right? So we're looking at whole grains over here. And they have a pretty good inverse association. That means, this 0.91 here, that means that there's a negative association here with all-cause mortality. Down here we have eggs, which actually have a positive association, right? And so this is just reading off the coefficients here. But what I want to show you here is this. If you look at these two columns here, or two rows. If you look at vegetables when compared to grains, vegetables beat them in every amount of servings, right? So you have the amount of servings up here, and then you have grains, and these are vegetables, and you see there's more of a negative association for all-cause mortality. Regardless of how many servings you have here, you're getting more of a negative association with all-cause mortality with vegetables than you are with whole grains, right? And then if you even look at fish down here, fish actually beat whole grains as well, right? And I just wanted to point that out to you because this is in the studies here. Now, there's other foods that you can consume on a ketogenic diet that also have negative associations, nuts, for example. Now, when we talk about meat here, a lot of people think that to follow a ketogenic diet, you have to eat a lot of meat. And that's not true at all. You can actually eat very little meat. In fact, there's a lot of vegans out there who are also keto. So I just want to point that out to you. My argument is not an argument for meat. My argument is stating that vegetables are actually probably a bit more effective at defeating all-cause mortality than whole grains. And that's demonstrated here in this study's data. But, and I want to bring this to you because I wanted to go a little bit deeper and I wanted to do a little bit more research, right? Because we have these common notions that the reason why grains, whole grains, are so good at defeating heart disease is because of fiber. And if you look from the novice perspective, yeah, they're great at defeating all-cause mortality because they're high in fiber and supposedly high in nutrients. But I'm going to show you why, when compared with green vegetables, keto-friendly green vegetables, that's not necessarily the case. So let's get back into some more data here. So let me go over here first. We're going to go to Google Chrome. Okay. So let's go to this window quickly. Now, I pulled all the data I'm about to show you from the USDA website, okay? And the other thing I want to show you is this. All right, so when we go to the American Heart Association and their recommendations for whole grains and fiber, they recommend the following, you know, whole wheat graham flour, oatmeal, whole oats, brown rice, wild rice, whole grain barley, right? Whole wheat bulgur, and whole rye. Okay, so these are typical whole grain foods that they would recommend. Now, if we go over to the cancer, right? This is the American Institute for Cancer Research. The term whole grain, it just defines whole grain here. The term whole grain means that all three parts of the grain, kernel, germ, bran, and endosperm, are included. Refined grains usually have the bran and germ removed, leaving only the starchy endosperm. Brown rice is a whole grain, white rice is not. So just defining what we're talking about here. And the reason why they're so good at defeating cancer is because whole grains are rich in fiber, vitamins, minerals, and hundreds of plant compounds called phytochemicals. So basically what this is saying is that these are healthy because they're high in fiber and they're micronutritionally dense, right? Similarly, if you look at the American Heart Association website, they also say that whole grains are healthy because they're high in fiber and they are rich in vitamins. If we look at B vitamins, folic acid, things like that, iron, all these types of things, they say that these are important sources of these nutrients. So let me get back into what I did here. Got to go back into my share. I'm going to share with you again, and we'll go over to my data sheet over here. So like I said, I pulled all of this from the USDA website. Over here on this side, we have keto-friendly foods. We have broccoli. We have Brussels sprouts. We have spinach. We have avocado. Over here, we have non-keto friendly whole grain foods, okay? And we have oatmeal. So I wanted to choose a good oatmeal. I wanted to give it a fair shake. So we did Bob's Red Mill old-fashioned oats, right? So most people would take it that these old-fashioned oats are better than instant oatmeal. We've also got brown rice, and we've got whole wheat flour. Right? These are all grains that the American Heart Association said were good, heart-healthy grains, okay? And so what I did was I wanted to separate each column by, what's it called? The food. And then I looked at 100 grams of each food. If you look at those, and then I looked at 100 calories of each food, right? So it's important that we control both for the amount and the amount of calories, right? Because well, there's a common argument out there that lower calorie diets are healthier, and we want to see which foods are the most nutritionally dense, right? So what I mean by nutritionally dense means you are getting the most amount of nutrients per calorie. Now, if we look at fiber first, you can definitely see the argument that Jason and a lot of people are trying to make. Okay, so if you look over here, 100 grams of broccoli compared to 100 grams of Bob's Red Mill, old-fashioned oats, so they've got 10.4 grams of fiber there versus 3.3. Okay, similarly, if we look at 100 grams of Brussels sprouts versus 100 grams of brown rice, there's actually more fiber there than the brown rice, but the red mill old-fashioned oats and the whole wheat flour, they both kill all these, okay, as far as fiber per 100 grams, okay? So, but what happens, and just to show you what I did to control for all this stuff, and I'm going to go back to my internet so it's a little bit easier for you to read in a second, but just to show you what I did to control for calories, right? 100 calories of each, okay? So you can see these are a bit rounded, but I tried to approximate 100 calories of each food. And what I did was I created a formula here that when 100 calories is divided by 35, that's 2.8 times 35 creates approximately 100 calories over here. So these are 35 calories. And then multiply that out, and that brings us to 98 calories of broccoli, 99 calories of Brussels sprouts, 99 calories of spinach, 100.2 calories of avocado, 99 of oats, 99 of brown rice, and 99 of whole wheat flour. Okay, so what I did was I averaged everything out, and everything down below is the same. Okay, so we're controlling across the board for calories, right? So this means that when calories are equal, how much fiber and how many what kind of micronutrient count do we have in there? So I'm going to go back, and I want to go to my internet because I have the same spreadsheet there. It's just a little bit easier to read. Okay, so you can see I have the same spreadsheet here as I did before, and everything over here in between is controlled for calories. What I did was I took these columns out, the 100 grams columns, and then I made it so that we could see each food controlled for calories, right? So here we have 100 calories of Brussels sprouts, 100 calories of broccoli, 100 calories of Brussels sprouts, 100 calories of spinach, 100 calories of avocado, 100 calories of oats, 100 calories of brown rice, 100 calories of whole wheat flour, okay? So again, even if we don't control for calories here, we see that these foods beat out these foods over here in terms of fiber content if we do not control for calories. But let's take a look at some of the common vitamins and nutrients that we want to see in heart-healthy food. Vitamin C. These foods over here completely beat out the whole grains. If you go down to vitamin A, see what do we got over here? There's no vitamin A over here. We've got lots of vitamin A in spinach and all these vegetables over here. And it keeps going down the line. I mean, you could basically see the nutrient comparisons in each of these, right? If you look at the columns. Now, if you come over here, the argument becomes a little bit more clear. And I'm sorry if there's so many numbers here that it's confusing you guys. But if we look at dietary fiber, right, when calories are controlled for, 100 calories of broccoli, right, 100 calories of broccoli. Look at fiber here. So 100 calories of broccoli, 9.4 completely beats these out, okay? 100 calories of Brussels sprouts completely beats these out. 100 calories of spinach completely beats these out. Avocado, again, it's closer, but still beats every one of these out, right? So again, when we're controlling for calories, you will get more fiber per calorie with green vegetables, which are keto friendly, than you will with whole grains. Let's go down to looking at nutrient density. And again, even before we controlled for calories, we were getting much more nutrient density on the keto-friendly vegetable side. But look, right, magnesium, right? The only thing that beats, what's it called? The only thing that beats broccoli or any of these in magnesium, it doesn't beat spinach out, is brown rice, right? But then when we look at vitamin C, check this out, guys. I mean, it's not even a competition, right? And again, guys, this isn't an argument just for ketosis, but it's an argument against, really bad information. When you look at studies and you say to yourself, okay, well, whole grains are healthy for you. Well, why are they healthy for you? Well, the American Heart Association and the American Cancer Association say they're high in fiber and they're high in nutrient density. But when we look at the actual numbers, when compared to other foods, by the calorie, they're actually not nutritionally dense. And they're actually, not even comparable in the amounts of fiber that you can get from vegetables. Now, again, guys, like I said, I don't have a problem with Jason at all. I don't have a problem with him even saying that, whole grains are healthy. I don't think they're unhealthy. But when you are trying to say that a ketogenic diet doesn't work, at least understand what you're talking about, right? I've always said that the paradigm does not make the diet. If you are eating a diet that's loaded with salami and cheese and bacon and eggs and things like that, nothing else, then you're not doing a good diet, right? That's a ketogenic diet, but that's not a good diet. Similarly, if you are a vegan and you're eating nothing but French fries and fried tofu and other types of fried foods, when compared to a whole foods vegan diet, that's not a good diet, right? But ketosis is not meant to be loading yourself up with salami and cheese and all this other stuff. You need to be eating vegetables if you're going to be doing keto the right way, which means that you're eating foods that are micronutritionally dense and foods that are digestible, along with being keto friendly. I also don't want you guys to think that I believe that the ketogenic diet is the only way to be healthy. The ketogenic diet works well for some people and it doesn't work well for others, right? And it really depends on you and who you are. But I'm sick of these kinds of blanket statements that try to call out the ketogenic diet as being ineffective. As I said before in my last video, even Dr. Lane Norton, who doesn't like low-carb diets at all, doesn't say that the ketogenic diet doesn't work. He says that, there is no real difference in fat loss between the ketogenic diet and the standard carb diet. And so I just want you guys to have good information, and I will link everything that I just went through below so that you guys can try and replicate this for yourselves. You can take all these data from the USDA website and you can compare them for yourselves and see what you want to do. And like I said, if you look back, I have the formulas in there. You guys can replicate each of those. And if you have any questions for how I put this together, you're welcome to email me anytime at info@warriorsoulapparel.com. With that, I want to thank you so much for bearing through this with me. I know it was a little bit heavy, and I will talk to you guys all soon.